I have vivid memories of the very first and only time that I ever smoked a cigarette. I was in my early teens. My dad had smoked a pack or more cigarettes every day of his life since he was around 10 years of age, so I guess it was only natural that I would be curious. For weeks, I had watched for an opportunity to steal a couple of cigarettes from Dad when he wasn't looking, but I never could work up the courage to do so. Then, out of the blue, an opportunity presented itself. I was delivering newspapers on my daily newspaper route when I spied a half-pack of cigarettes and a lighter beside the sidewalk. I grabbed them up and hid them carefully, waiting until the day when I would finally smoke my first ever cigarette. Less than a week later, my brother and I secreted ourselves in an alcove at the local elementary school and lit up. He was a couple of years younger than I was. All I can say at this point is that the thought of smoking was so much better than the actual act of smoking. From the second we puffed the first smoke into our lungs, I think we realized what a big mistake we had made. The taste was awful. We both began coughing from the acrid smoke that filled our lungs. Then we realized that smoking came with its own little buzz. We felt lightheaded and a bit nauseous. For the rest of that day, I kept burping up smoke flavor, and it was disgusting. I never felt the desire ever again to smoke, neither did my brother. If I'd only realized how bad the experience would be, I would never have taken that first puff. I realize this is a strange introduction to a Bible study, but I just wanted to set the stage for one of the most bizarre encounters Jesus ever had with the public. Found in Luke 9:57-62, we read, "As they were going along the road, someone said to him, 'I will follow you wherever you go.' And Jesus said to him, 'The foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head.' And he said to another, 'Follow me.' But he said, 'Lord, permit me first to go and bury my father.' But he said to him, 'Allow the dead to bury their own dead. But as for you, go and proclaim everywhere the kingdom of God.' Another also said, 'I will follow you, Lord, but first permit me to say goodbye to those at home.' But Jesus said to him, 'No one, after putting his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of God.'" It appears Jesus was trying to drive followers away. Maybe he was. After all, it would be far better if they never followed him than to begin following and then turn away. Jesus needed to help them understand the extreme obligation they were making if they chose to follow him. He wanted them to know there was nothing romantic about becoming a Christ follower. It was going to be nasty at times. It was going to be brutally hard at times. Only absolute devotion to Jesus would suffice. Anything else was merely a lark. This attitude of Jesus helps us to understand what happened in John 2:23-25, where we read, "Now, when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover, during the feast, many believed in his name, observing his signs which he was doing. But Jesus, on his part, was not entrusting himself to them, for he knew all men, and because he did not need anyone to testify concerning man, for he himself knew what was in man, Jesus knew many who followed him that day would fall away when the going got tough. He knew many were enamored with following him, but they hadn't counted the cost of discipleship. Friends, we mustn't make the same mistakes. If you are toying with following Christ, you are not serious enough. If you want to follow Jesus only when it is convenient for you, then you are not ready to follow him. Jesus seeks committed followers who realize that following him entails taking up a cross daily and imitating him. He wants us to recognize that we cannot merely try Christianity and then move on if we find something that we think is better. Friends, you cannot follow Jesus in the same way as you try your first ever cigarette, which I strongly encourage you never to do. If you want to follow him, he must be everything to you. He must have first place in everything you are. There is no trying him out for a day. Are you ready to follow Jesus? Then follow him and never, ever look back.